let's move on to our fourth main topic today. And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Kevin W. Crutchfield, who writes, Rotten Tomatoes said it has added 600 independently verified critics over the past year as a part of an ongoing push to support underrepresented voices in film and TV criticism. Of the new critics, 55% are women, 60% are freelancers, and 10% publish reviews via YouTube. I'm one of those 10%, as a matter of fact. Podcasts and other emerging avenues. It really seems the inclusiveness objective has many facets: gender, race, ethnicity, as well as the platforms where critics' work appears. Given the shift from newspapers and magazines to digital platforms, would love to hear your thoughts. All right, so basically what Kevin is reminding us all of, about a little over a year ago, Rotten Tomatoes made a commitment that they wanted to expand the voices that were being added to the overall critic community on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, for a long time, there weren't YouTube critics, weren't allowed. And then even when they were, there was just a small collection of YouTube critics were even allowed to be on there. A lot of the critics were the more traditional ones who've been around for a long time, some digital voices as well, things like that. Now, which was all fine and well because, you know, even though a guy from the Boston Herald and the guy from the New York Post, they could be totally different people with totally different movie tastes, and that's good. The one thing that I love about Rotten Tomatoes and why I like the Rotten Tomatoes rating system is that it takes all these different people who have completely different tastes and completely different points of views, all these critics, and they all gather together to kind of throw their voices in, and then we just get a scale about how many of these vastly different people like the movie and how many of these vastly different people didn't like a movie. Just that simple. Just that simple. And I love that. And I think this addition of stuff that Rotten Tomatoes has just gone and done, I think does nothing but make it even better. Because remember, I think the strength of Rotten Tomatoes is not getting 5 critics together who all have the same taste and points of view, then giving an overall score. I like that it's hundreds of various critics from different backgrounds, different genders, and do their reviews on different platforms, podcasts, newspapers, YouTube, radio stations, wherever. I love the idea that they're taking what I believe is a strength, radically different voices, and adding even more diversity to it. Diversity of platforms that they use, diversity of age, diversity of gender, diversity of background. I just think it makes the platform stronger. And quite frankly, I don't see any downside to this addition of new voices. And by the way, it's important to point out something that Kevin said there. It's not like they went out and added 600 new voices and 580 of them were only women. It's not like they had this agenda to just go out and only add women voices. That's it. No, just women voices. It's important that they didn't go and say, we're only adding YouTube critics. That's it. Just YouTubers. We're only adding. No, they didn't do that. 55% was women, but 45% were men. 10% of them were YouTube platform people. I just think it's a good thing. Now that doesn't, listen, this change is not going to make anybody that doesn't like Rotten Tomatoes like them. Most people who don't like Rotten Tomatoes simply don't understand how Rotten Tomatoes works. Like, there are still a lot of, you'd be surprised, guys, there are still a lot of people out there who think Rotten Tomatoes gives a movie a score. And it's like, I find myself explaining to people every day, that's not how Rotten Tomatoes works. They take a collection of various widely diverse, different types of film critics who have totally different opinions from each other, and they simply gather up the information. How many of them like the movie, how many of them don't, and they simply tell us what percentage of film critics from that vastly different group of people like the movie and how many don't. Now, that doesn't mean it's the be-all, end-all, but I am constantly shocked every day how many people still think Rotten Tomatoes is just some boardroom where they go, let's give this movie this score. And that's not how Rotten Tomatoes works. It's a reflection of everybody's voice in the film criticism world, which I think is great. I think it's great. And the fact that they're adding more diversity in the platforms as well, adding more podcasters, adding more YouTubers, adding more older critics, adding more younger critics. I just think it's all good. Again, it's not going to make it the be-all, end-all, and it's not going to make people who don't like Rotten Tomatoes suddenly magically like Rotten Tomatoes, but I think it's taking something that's a strength and adding to it. So I think it's a good thing. Question is, guys, what do you think about it? Do you think this is a good move on their part? Do you think it's inconsequential? Do you think it's a bad move? What do you think about it? Jump down in the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. All right.